So it's Suya night for us, and I'm making something really special. I'm using the tongue to make Suya. Yes, you heard me. I'm using tongue to make Suya. I started by mixing my Suya spice. The Suya spice was ordered from Nigeria. The special Suya spice blend. And I also start the tongue cleaning and cutting them like really tiny bits. So that's what I'm doing right now. You want to cut the tongue into thin and lean beef. To achieve that, I get a very sharp knife, slice the tongue. Lean and tiny, that's the secret. If it's too thick, then it takes longer time to cook. Just like I'm doing, portion the tongue into 4 parts. Take the paper towel, just dump all those blood from the tongue away and clean the table. Slice them lean and thin. I'd set aside a bowl with oil, salt, crushed pepper earlier in the day. Making sure every fiber of my meat is lean and thin. When you get to like those fatty parts, you can just discard those ones. You really don't need them for the suya. So I set them in the tray. Give that a good damp. You wanna get rid of all the blood. Make sure it's dried. And I had dry pepper. Enough dry pepper to go around just to marinate the tongue. I also will be adding non-powder. Yeah, just a teaspoon of non-powder. You don't want it too much. And also a teaspoon of salt. Depending on the quantity of tongue you have, well, I'm using just 1 tongue to make this suya. So a teaspoon of non-powder, a teaspoon of salt would do. And also this is chili powder. Yeah, I like the fact that it's not fully crushed. This is very necessary. It gives it that, that spike at the end of the day. And this is the suya pepper. You want to add generous amount of suya pepper, enough to cover all the tongue on your tray. And ginger powder. I mixed the ginger powder. I mixed it with water, and you want to add that to it. And you mix everything together thoroughly. If you would, you can cover this for like 20 minutes to allow all the pepper marinate into the tongue. I also have the smoke liquid. Just because I'm using the house oven to do this, I need that, the smell of a smoky suya. So I had the smoke liquid. Not so much, yeah. Just a little, like a teaspoon would do. You want to mix that thoroughly. As you can see, this has changed the color of the tongue. It's well marinated. I allow this to stay for like 20 minutes. 20 minutes under room temperature. So yeah, I have the mixed suya oil is in there, enough suya pepper, a little non powder, a little salt, and mix it together. And also the crushed pepper. Press it into the yaji, making sure every fiber of the meat was baptized in that nutty, fairy mixed. Then I thread them onto soak wooden skewers. Not too tight, so the heat would reach every part, but close enough to hold together like family. Mix this very well. Yeah, because the tongue is already marinated, and I'll put them into the skewer before I add the oil mixture on top of it. I got my baking sheet and the pan. Yeah. This part is very tricky. You have to put the tongue into the skewer one after the other. You want to give it space so each tiny layer has its own turn to cook, but close enough to hold together. While you're doing this, you can preheat your oven 350 degrees for like 15 minutes. So by the time you're done putting all of the tongue into the skewer, your oven is hot enough. Also, this is a part where the family comes together to help. Yeah. So I get all the members of the family to come and put your own tongue in the skewer. Everybody has to participate. So I didn't mention that, the tip of the tongue of the cow can be very hardened. So that part was not included. in the suya preparation. I set aside that part. So here it is, ready to go into the oven. But before then, remember the mixed oil we have with all of the spice inside. Now is a good time to put it on the meat. Yeah, I have this brush that helps. Yeah, you want to spread it. Whatever you have, you can use foam, you can use spoon, whatever works for you. Okay, let me put this in the oven. Let me transfer it. See, open the oven for me. This is how it looks. I slid the tray into the oven and Sizzly whispered that the suya journey had begun. Halfway through, after about 10 minutes, I flipped the sliver, brushed them with a little oil, and sprinkled just a touch more yaji. Another 10 minutes. The meat was glistering, slightly charred at the edges, just the way I remembered. This is a very tricky part. Because it's suya, and because we're using tongue, sometimes it takes a longer time to cook. And 45 minutes on and off. So after 20 minutes, you could turn off the oven and allow the heat to cook. Allow the heat to cook the tongue. That trick works for me. So you don't want it too burnt. At the same time, you want your suya to be well done. So after 20 minutes, you could just turn off the oven, allow the heat to give you that really good cook. Then you can bring this out from the oven, turn on the oven, and go again for another 25 minutes. That's the secret, and that is what I did. So it's not so dry. It's well cooked, but still has that crusty taste. Look at this. Look at this. It tastes even better. I had a tray of broccoli, fried yam, tomatoes, and onion, cabbage set aside. This was dinner, and it was so good. Trust me, it was so good. You should give this a try. Thank you for watching. You can subscribe to My Kids. I am like the suya queen of Calgary. Thanks for watching.